2 a.m. on the 12th of May, 1973, I was returning home from an emergency call along the Apsley-Shepingham Road.
How? On foot?
No, my lord, on my moped. I noticed a lorry ahead of me travelling in the same direction, that is, towards Shepingham. The vehicle was an ex-War Department 3-ton van, index number AMO95.
A van or a lorry?
My lord, it's shown on one of the agreed photographs, photograph 1. The vehicle is, in fact, a former mobile workshop.
I see.
Yes, officer, will you please go on?
I overtook the lorry, signalled to it to stop, and pulled into the verge. The lorry went straight past without stopping. I overtook it again, signalled to it to stop, and then pulled up across its path in the middle of the road.
And did you give the lorry plenty of distance in which to pull up?
I did, sir, yes.
And did the lorry pull up?
It appeared to slow up, sir, but it didn't stop.
You meant it kept coming towards you?
Yes, my lord.
So what did you do?
When I realised it wasn't going to stop, I let go of the moped and jumped out the way.
And what happened?
The lorry went straight over the moped, then it stopped. I went round to the offside of the lorry. The driver leant out the window and he said, "You tired of life or something, Robert?"
The driver said, "You tired of life or something, Robert?"
Yes, sir.
And what did you say?
Nothing, sir. At that moment, a patrol car arrived, Sergeant Hoskins and Police Constable Grant.
So fortunately for you, reinforcements arrived.
Reinforcements arrived, yes, sir.
Now, do you see the driver of that van in court today?
Yes, sir, in the dock.
And what happened then?
Hoskins and Grant came over. They said to Smith, "What have you done with that copper you knocked off?" Smith said, "Knocked off? He tried to commit suicide. Anyway, there he is, standing right next to you."
He appeared to have misunderstood the question.
No, sir, I think he was trying to be funny.
I see. Now, what happened next?
Smith said, "Robert here threw his noddy bike at me."
Noddy bike.
I think he was alluding to my moped, my lord.
Another joke.
Yes, my lord.
And Robert?
Me, my lord.
Did you say anything?
I said they'd gone straight over it. Smith got out the moped, got out of his truck and came round to have a look at the moped. And it was then I noticed there was a boy with them. He came from the other side of the lorry.
And do you see that boy in court today?
Yes, sir, over there. The boy came over to the moped and he said, "There might be a few spare parts on it, Jack." Smith said, "Make him an offer then, Leo." And the boy then offered me 5 shillings for it.
I should think that made you very angry, officer. What did you say?
It was difficult not to get angry, my lord, seeing he'd run over my moped quite unnecessarily.
Yes, but what did you say?
Nothing, my lord. Losing tempers doesn't do any good.
Cool, Leo, did you hear that?
And what happened next, officer?
Sergeant Hoskins asked if he could search Smith's lorry. Smith agreed, and it was then that we found the copper.
Copper.
A large quantity of copper piping, my lord.
Oh, I see.
Sergeant Hoskins asked where Smith had got it. Smith said, "From Ernest Richards." Hoskins said, "Do you mean Ernest Richards at Apsley?" Smith said, "Yes." Hoskins said, "Have you been at Richards' scrapyard tonight?" And Smith said, "Yes."
So he admitted he'd been at Richard's scrapyard?
Yes, sir, he did. Hoskins said, "Did you steal the copper?" Smith said, "No, I paid for it." Hoskins said, "Richards says you took it without his permission." Smith said, "Does he now?" Hoskins said, "Mrs. Richards found someone stealing copper in their scrapyard half an hour ago. She says it was you and that you attacked her."
And what did Smith say?
He said, "All right, copper, I was there collecting the copper, which I'd paid for, see, when her turns up and has a go at us without so much as a how'd you do. If she's hurt, I'm sorry, but it was self-defence."
He claimed he was acting in self-defence.
Yes, my lord.
How old is this woman?
Oh, about 50, my lord.
Is she a large woman?
No, my lord, pretty small.
Did Smith suggest Mrs. Richards was armed in any way?
No, sir.
And what happened next?
Sergeant Hoskins cautioned Smith and the boy and told him he was arresting them. Neither of them made any reply.
And was that the last you had to do with the matter?
Yes, it was, sir.
Thank you, Constable.
I have no questions, my lord.
Constable, I have but a very few questions for you. When Sergeant Hoskins asked if he could search Smith's van, Smith agreed at once, did he not?
Yes, sir.
Without any hesitation?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, it was you, Constable, was it not, who drove the van back to the police station after Smith and the boy had been taken away?
It was a dangerous obstruction without tail lights, sir.
Yes, I quite appreciate that, officer, but will you just answer the question? Did you drive it away?
I attempted to, sir.
Ah, there was some difficulty, wasn't
It was a flaming death trap, sir.
Precisely. Now, perhaps you'll explain why.
Well, sir, the foot brake didn't operate at all.
A 3-ton lorry with no foot brake.
Yes, my lord, it could only be stopped by using the gears and the handbrake, and I may say the handbrake wasn't much good. There was no ratchet on it, and you had to hold on to it with your hand.
In short, officer, it took a long time to bring the vehicle to a standstill.
I did, sir. The first time I tried to use the brakes, I was going downhill about a quarter of a mile from the crossroads at Sheffingham, and I couldn't stop the lorry till it got to the far side of the crossroads.
Indeed, doing all you could to stop the lorry, you in fact failed and ran across a major road without stopping.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And I may say I wouldn't like to do it again.
No, I'm sure. Now, on the night in question, it took Smith a long time to stop the van after you had signalled him to stop.
Did, sir, yes.
And the van couldn't be stopped quickly, that's right, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And when he stopped, did Smith say to you, are you tired of life or something, Robert?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, if the roles had been reversed and you had been driving the van that night, do you think you could have stopped in time without running over the moped?
No, sir, I don't, to be quite honest.
No. Thank you. Now, after the lorry stopped, did Smith threaten you in any way?
No, sir.
You weren't frightened?
No, why should I be?
Well, you see, that's just what I want to know, because you did seem to agree in answer to my learned friend that reinforcements fortunately arrived.
No, I didn't, sir. I said reinforcements arrived. It was Mr. Golding who used the word fortunately.
That is correct, Mr. Parsons.
Yes, I am obliged to your lordship and to you, officer, but the fact remains you weren't frightened.
Not at all.
No, thank you.
I have no re-examination, my lord.
Thank you, Constable.
I call Ernest John Richards.
Ernest John Richards, please.
What is your religion?
CV.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on this card.
I swear by Almighty God, the evidence I give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Mr. Richards, what is your full name?
Ernest John Richards.
And where do you live?
The apple trees, Absolutely.
And you are a scrap metal dealer and you have a scrapyard at your home address.
Yeah.
The old bleeding place is a scrapyard.
Smith, I have already spoken to you about interrupting.
I didn't mean to interrupt, your worship. I was just passing a remark to young Leo here.
I shan't.
The place is one big scrapyard. He's got a paraffin bar full of old ball bearings under his bed.
Now, I shan't warn you again. Sit down and be quiet. Mr. Golding.
Mr. Richards?
I am in business, yeah.
Mr. Richards, how long have you known the accused?
5, 10 years. That's what puzzles me about all this.
Shall we say a good many years? And prior to the incident giving rise to this trial, were you on good terms with Smith?
Well, he ain't never caused me no trouble, if that's what you mean.
You had no quarrel over anything?
I had no quarrel with him. But you never know, there's some funny geezers about.
Mr. Richards, it is a simple question. Did you or did you not quarrel with him? Yes or no?
No, but...
The answer is no. Very well, Mr. Golding.
And did you at about the beginning of March of this year buy some 600 weight of copper?
Wolf Jimmy Dover, yeah.
And did you transport the copper to your scrapyard on about the 6th of April?
My boys did in the Land Rover,
And where did you store it?
in the old cowshed.
And did you at any time give either of the accused permission to remove it from there?
No. And I don't know why he should pretend I did. Unless he reckons I sold it to him, which is a lie. I mean, he ain't got no receipt, there's no proof.
Mr. Richards, please leave the argument to me and just answer the questions. Did you at any time have any conversation with either of the accused about this copper?
Yeah, the same day.
The same day as what?
Same day as he bashed Mrs. Richards.
You mean the same day that your wife was attacked?
Yeah.
Now, she was attacked in the early morning of the 12th of May. Was the discussion with the accused on that day or the day before?
Day 4.
My lord, I should like to request that this witness give no further evidence concerning his wife's injuries, as he was not present at the time of the attack, so he can hardly say whether or not she was attacked.
Are you trying to say that she inflicted her injuries on herself?
My lord, I'm not obliged to answer that question. My point was a good one, independently of my precise defence.
Yes, yes indeed, Mr. Deary, I take your point. If it is in issue, it must not be said by this witness that Mrs. Richards was attacked. Very well, Mr. Golding.
Now, where did this conversation take place?
Jimmy Doby's place.
And where's that?
Down behind the market at Fulchester.
And what does Jimmy Doby do?
Boozes mostly.
What is his profession?
Profession? Well, he ain't educated, if that's what you mean.
My lord, perhaps I can help my learned friend here. James Doby is yet another scrap merchant.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Parsons. A few leading questions might help, Mr. Golding.
My lord. Who was present when you had your discussion with Smith?
Well, there was Jimmy and the midget.
The midget? You mean the accused, Leo Trotsky?
Leo who? Who's he?
Mr. Richards, the person you referred to as the midget, is that the same as the boy sitting in the dock there with Smith?
Yeah, the midget. I said so.
Will you describe to us what happened?
Well, we was all sitting in Jimmy's hut having a go at the beer.
Who was drinking the beer?
We all was.
Including the midget?
Yeah.
Never. I wouldn't let him. Time and again I says, you touch that stuff, you finish up like Jimmy Doby. Yeah, what do you want to invent such wicked things for? There's no need for them.
Mr. Smith, sit down.
Right, Mr. Golding.
Tell us about the discussion, Mr. Richards.
Well, Jack here, he knew that Jimmy had sold me this collar, so he offers me 100 quid for it.
And did you agree?
Not likely, would you at that price?
And so to summarise, Smith wanted to buy the copper which Doby had sold you, and you refused.
Yeah.
Did Mr. Doby take any part in this discussion?
Oh, no, Your Honour.
But he heard all this, did he?
Well, I don't know about that, Your Honour.
But you said he was present during the conversation, so he must have heard it.
Well, there's a lot of things what goes on around Jimmy Doby what he don't know nothing about.
What you mean, he drinks so much that he is incapable? Is that what you mean?
Well, he ain't incapable of everything, Your Honour. He can always do his sums. He's very clear about figures.
He's not being called as the prosecution witness, is he?
No, my lord.
Nor for the defence?
No, my lord.
Thank you. Continue, Mr. Golding.
Were you at home on the night of May the 11th?
Yes, I was, and I got witnesses.
And at what time did you and your wife retire to bed?
About 10 o'clock.
Did you wake up at all during the night?
Yes, unusual, but I did, about 1:30.
And what did you do?
I went to look for Mrs. Richards.
She was no longer in bed.
Of course she knew I wasn't, otherwise I wouldn't have gone to look for her, would I?
Quite. Go on.
Well, first of all, I looked in the chicken shed. Then I was a quick gander in the stables and in the big shed at the bottom of the yard. I was just going over to the old cow shed when I heard a noise coming from the back seat of the old Riley.
Oh, that was an old Riley car, was it?
Yeah, my boys was breaking it.
Yes. Now, please go on.
Well, first of all, I thought it was some courting couples from the village. I thought I'd go and get the dog. And I thought, no, I'll just have a look. And there was Mrs. Richards, lying in the back of the Riley.
And what was she doing on the back seat?
Well, she wasn't doing nothing. She was spark out, just laying there, blood all over her face.
The case of the Queen against Smith and Trotsky will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.